Alright, I'm here with an updated look at my PlayStation 4 collection for 2021. Last year's video clocked in at over an hour, and I'm going to try to keep it under an hour this time because that's a long video. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to rush it for the sake of rushing it. PlayStation 4 has honestly become like one of the best libraries, I think, in games. I mean, it's just such a huge library now. It's just a lot of quality. I'm so happy that you can, play it on PlayStation 5. It's fully backwards compatible. I don't know. It's just a library I'm really happy with. It's probably definitely my top five favorite console libraries of all time. I think it's just a lot of my favorite games actually came out of this generation. It was definitely a renaissance for like Japanese AAA gaming and just a great time all around. Great generation, and I have a pretty sizable collection now for it. So I'll dive on into it with my first game here. Um, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. And I'm going to keep saying this to everyone who watches the channel. Trying to get this thing to stand up. Do not sleep on this game. Play this video game. It's very good. This is developed by Vanillaware, published by Atlas. Vanillaware is known for like Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown, Miramasa. They're known for their really, really nice art style, and this game's no exception. This game has a tremendous art style. It looks really great. And it's like part kind of adventure game, really story heavy game. The story's really cool, and then it's also part like real time strategy, which I'll admit those parts aren't amazing, but they're pretty fun. There's nothing wrong with them, and highly recommend this game. I don't want to get too much into it because the more you talk about it, it's just you'll get into spoilers. Highly recommend this game. It's really not that expensive to get currently, and this is going to be a game in like 10 years time that's going to be valuable because that's what happens to like all of Vanillaware's games. So just pick this one up. You won't regret it. It's coming to Switch next year, so if you would rather play there, highly recommended. But don't pass this one up. It's really good. Another underrated gem here that I definitely recommend. 428 Shibuya Scramble. Was a Wii game originally. We never got it over here. It's developed by Spike Chunsoft, who's very well known for their visual novels and adventure type games. This is probably the most visual novel of their games when you consider stuff like Danganronpa and AI and Zero Escape. Those are all like adventure games. This one is definitely more text heavy, but it has a really cool system where you play as all these different characters, and it's almost like a puzzle type game where you have to clear something in someone's path, and all these characters' stories like intertwine, and you have to clear something in someone's path to make sure another character can go on, and there's different endings and stuff. Really cool game, really cool story, goes off the wall, goes crazy, fascinating. I really like this game. It uses live action like stills and stuff, which could look cheap, but they do it pretty well, and it just kind of seems pretty natural. Highly recommend this game. I remember getting a 40 out of 40 in Famitsu, which doesn't really mean much. They kind of overrate games a lot, but this is definitely a really cool game. And another one that I think is going to go up in price considerably for collectors. Definitely one to keep an eye out on. And this game goes on sale pretty often on PlayStation Network. And I recommend you follow me on Twitter at Objo Gaming. I'm going to give myself a plug. I often retweet a lot of the games that I recommend when they go on sale. I often retweet them. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. There, it's not only just weird Japanese games that no one plays. Batman Arkham Knight. I really like Arkham Asylum. That one's my favorite. And I kind of feel like the series went downhill after that. They're still good games, but I just feel like the first game was like really good level design. Really just awesome. I really like it. Was essentially a 3D Metroidvania. It's a really awesome game. And then, as you start to get to like the Batmobile tanks kind of stuff in this game, and it just feels kind of bloated. It just feels unnecessary. And then I couldn't beat this game because it makes you like finish a bunch of side quests before you go to the final area. And one of the side quests, like one of the key items, was just not loading for me, so I couldn't beat it. I was like looking into like things like, oh, like, am I missing something here? And it's like, no, this just wasn't spawning for me. So I wonder, they probably updated that. I played this game 6 years ago when it came out. Which is crazy to think it's that old already, but yeah, I just never went back to it to finish it. I mean, I did like this one more than Arkham City, I'll at least say, but and Arkham Origins. More Batman here. Batman the Telltale series. I really liked the Batman Telltale series. This is the only Telltale series I've ever really jumped into. And I really liked this first season. I think the second season was not very good. But the first season was really good. I thought it was a really cool take on the Batman universe. They definitely took some liberties with the story that you don't really see. I like comic book heroes. I like, Marvel and DC to a lesser extent, but I still like DC. Mostly just Batman from DC though. And you see a lot of the same stories at the same time. So I really like it when they can do something completely different with the story. And they really did that with this game. I thought it was really cool. And it's a really great story-based game. The second game and the cliffhanger, and then Telltale went out of business. So unfortunate. I would recommend just playing the first one. If you really liked the first one, maybe go to the second one. The first chapter of the second game is really good. After that, it just isn't very good. Which is unfortunate, but is what it is. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. This is the game from Koji Igarashi, creator, or not creator, but, steward of the Castlevania series through the best games in that series. Left Konami, kickstarted a game, and it came out. And I haven't played too much of it, honestly. I got it on sale. I was like, I want to play this one eventually, but I'll just grab it when I think I got it for like $15. And I started it up, and I'm like, not in the mood for this right now. But heard good things. We'll get to it eventually. Another one of my favorites on the platform, and this is another game on Switch as well, Catherine Full Body. The original Catherine game is awesome. It's developed by the Persona team, and this was the game they did between Persona 4 and Persona 5. And it's not an RPG, it's a puzzle game that's like story-based, and it's really cool. I think the story is really good. I think, it's definitely, you can definitely see the DNA of Persona 5 in this game if you're looking hard enough. You don't even really have to look that hard enough. It's pretty obvious. But this game is awesome. This game is so good. I've talked about this game enough on this channel. Highly recommended. The Switch port, I've also played the Switch port, and I think it's equally as good. There's, you're not taking a hit if you would rather play it on there. There's no real downgrade, but either way you play it, it's an awesome game, and I highly recommend it. Picked this one up earlier this year, still sealed. I just wanted to get it before it got expensive. Chaos Child. I got really into Steins Gate last year. And it quickly became like my favorite visual novel. And I wanted to just try out some of the other games in that science adventure series. So like Chaos Child, Robotics Note, stuff like that. So I just picked this one up before it got expensive, but I've yet to give it a shot. It's definitely on the list. It's on the backlog for sure. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. This is a fun trilogy of games. I was not huge about the original Crash Bandicoot games when I played them on PlayStation 1. I didn't play them until I really started, collecting and doing garage sales, and I picked them up in a bundle, and I was like, I'll try them out. And I was like, these are fun, but they're nothing spectacular. But that was I think 2012, 2013-ish. So, but I played the Insane Trilogy. I played these games, and I really came to respect them. The first game's kind of BS. The game's a bit of a pain. Some of those levels are way too hard and just kind of crap, but Crash 2 and Crash 3 are really great games. I think they're really fun. But I don't think that they're quite as good as Crash 4. Which I think Crash 4 is genuinely one of the best 3D platformers of this generation. It's up there with Mario Odyssey. This game is excellent. It's really challenging, but not in an unfair or annoying way. It's really challenging in the way of oh yeah, I know I can get this. I just got to really work at it. This game is great. And it's such a shame. I mean, Activision right now is on fire. I recommend this game, but I'm not gonna tell you, you make your own choice of whether or not you want to support Activision. But I think this game's awesome. It's such a shame that now Toys for Bob is just working on Call of Duty, because it's you're wasting this awesome talent, this awesome platformer talent. They made a great game. It sold well, and you're putting them on Call of Duty. And they have all their teams on Call of Duty over there. So it's we're not going to get anything like this again. But this game was so good. This was such a great platformer. I highly recommend it. It's on Switch and PlayStation 5 and the Xbox consoles as well. So this one's still sealed. Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, so I wanted to play this game, and then obviously the game came out, and it was just unimaginably messed up. And I held off. I'm not going to pay $60 for it if it's that broken. But there's one on sale at Best Buy for $10. and I knew it was going to have a PS5 upgrade. I know that they're working on the game to, make it better, to make it less broken, to make it less just messed up. And it seems like they're gonna, the game should have never come out on PS4 and Xbox One to begin with. It should have been PC and the next gen consoles. But I figured $10. I do want to play this game. I might as well just grab it now and use the PS5 upgrade one that comes with PS5 earlier next year. But I think they really messed up because they could have had all these sales. They could have all these next gen sales at $60. The game sold 13 million copies, so you're not gonna. I don't think they're too angry, but they could have sold a lot more. I think if the game would have just come out decently, and a lot of the copies after that initial month where it sold 13 million were probably sold at $20 and $10 because there was such an abundance of physical copies. So that's a shame, but they kind of did it to themselves. And I would have probably paid $60 for this game on PS5 when it came out, but I paid $10 for it to play it on PS5. So I think it hurt them in the long run, even if the game came out and sold a ton of copies. I think it kind of hurt them in the long run. I missed a game actually came in out of alphabetical order, so I'll have to fix that. But that would be the Bayonetta and Vanquish double pack. This is another one you can get really cheap, and this is a great buy on PlayStation 4. The original Bayonetta game is great, a great character action game. But this might be controversial. I think the true star of this pack is Vanquish. Vanquish is awesome. This is a great third-person shooter. This is maybe one of my favorite shooters of all time. I'm not too huge on shooters, but this game is great. It knows exactly what it is. It takes about 5 to 6 hours to beat. It's really short. It has the awesome knee slide mechanic that feels great. It was directed by Shinji Mikami of Resident Evil fame. It's just awesome. Awesome game. The story's goofy and just over the top and stupid. The gameplay is great. This is just one of Platinum's best. This is probably this is maybe my favorite game of theirs, and it's one of the least talked about games that they have. And it kind of is a shame that Platinum has a shooter this good in them, and they don't make any more shooters. They're making Babylon's Fall. That game looks horrible. But I just wish they would have just made Vanquish 2 or something. If they can make a shooter this good and then they've only made one shooter, it's like such a shame. But Platinum's one of my favorite developers. This is a great bundle to have, and this is pretty cheap. I think you can get this for like $20, so definitely worth it. I've seen it even go down to like $10, which is like insanely worth it for what you're getting there. But yeah, a little out of order. We're going back to the D's. Death Stranding. I like this game a lot. I know not everyone's gonna like this one. I don't like the term like it's not for everyone, because literally nothing is for everyone. But I can understand why people wouldn't like this game, but I just think this game is really good. I think it's really impressive for what it is. I think that it's just an interesting game. The story is just bizarre, but if you try to recap the story to someone, they're gonna think you're insane. They're gonna think you have some kind of problem, but it works, and it's interesting, and it's graphically really impressive. I really like, the way it uses kind of emptiness, but then you come over a vista and you hear some kind of pretentious Kojima song that he likes, and it's just a great experience. It's a game that I probably would never want to play again. Like, they did the PS5 upgrade, and I'm like, no thanks. No thanks. But I definitely would recommend it, especially if you're a big fan of Kojima, which I am. I would definitely recommend at least giving it a shot, because it's a good game. And there's nothing really else like it. There's the meme of what's the first Strand type game, but there's nothing else really like it. Don't have much to say about this one. This just was a pack-in with my system. I got that white system that came out the day Destiny came out. Didn't really play much Destiny. It's not really my thing. I don't really like this game as a service type thing. It's just not really for me. Which is, it's fine. I know a lot of people I know Destiny's become like a game. I don't want to call it a product, but it's become a game that really people like more with Destiny 2, obviously. But not really just my thing. Don't want to be playing the same game forever. I'd rather experience a lot of different games. Devil May Cry HD Collection. This is a good HD collection. It's one of those kind of unfortunate HD collections where the pre-rendered cutscenes can't really be upgraded. So the in-engine stuff can be upgraded, but the pre-rendered cutscenes are how they are. So it switches between like 4:3 with the pre-renders and then full HD widescreen with this. So kind of just a product of its time. But classic games except for 2. Good HD collection just to have around. Fun time. Hold up pretty well. I mean, Devil May Cry 1 is 20 years old now. It holds up pretty well. Devil May Cry 5. This game's really cool. I really liked this one. I was really impressed with what they did with it. I never played 4, um, but I was really impressed with what they did with it. I really thought it was a great character action game. I'm glad it sold really well for Capcom. Kind of unfortunate that the PS5 upgrade didn't come with the PS4 version. They had to do that Ultimate Edition or whatever they called it. It's kind of unfortunate there, but overall, I would say great game. A couple games I have yet to play. I picked up, but I have yet to play. This is a Doom Slayers collection. I got that one, I think, for like $10 or something, really cheap. I figured why not. It has Doom 2016 and then Doom 1, 2, and 3. Good little bundle all around. You can get this for pretty cheap regularly. I played the demo of the original Doom, and I'll be honest, it sounds lame. It made me motion sick because of how fast it is, but I just think that it was, I think motion blur was on, which really, I don't like motion blur. It really bothers me. It makes me pretty sick, so I think if I played it without motion blur on, I'd be fine. And then I also got Doom Eternal, which is still sealed. Haven't played this one as well. I think I got this for like $15 as well, like the year it came out. I got it last year at Black Friday. Heard great things about this one. This game looks great, so I would like to jump into these eventually, but the backlog's so high, and it's so enticing to buy something when it's on sale, and just throw it on the backlog, and then it keeps going. Dragon Quest Builders. This game's a lot of fun. I didn't finish or anything. I played it for a while, and then I was like, yeah, I think I've seen what I need to see out of this one. But this game's a lot of fun. It's in the Dragon Quest world, but it's more of like a Minecraft type game. It's not in first person, so it's not like fully Minecraft, but definitely some elements. And it's just a kind of a relaxing game. This would be good on like the Switch while you're watching TV or something. Kind of half pay attention to it. I like played it with, like listening to podcasts and stuff. It's just a relaxing game, kind of just chill out, do the quests, build up your town and everything. It's a good time. Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Tree's Woe and the Blight Below. So this is a Dragon Quest Musou. You're getting exactly what it says out of it. It is a Dragon Quest Musou. Not much else to say. What you see is what you get. If you want a Dragon Quest Musou, you got one. If you don't, then I would probably pass on that one. I have Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch. I know someone might ask. I have Dragon Quest 11 S. I waited for the S version. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was really impressed with this one. Final Fantasy VII Original is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's a game that still holds up really well. I didn't play it until... First time I played it through was on the original PS1 disc in 2015, I think. That was the first time I ever played through it. And I still think it holds up like really well. And it's easy to mess things up with a remake. And it's especially when you have such a beloved game, it's easy to mess things up. And I don't want to get into spoilers too much, but this is a very interesting way at going about remaking this game. Kind of saying like, yeah, we know that we can't top the original. Or I guess not top. I don't want to say that. We can't... the original is its own thing. And what we're doing is we're making our own thing out of Final Fantasy VII. And I don't want to spoil too much going forward, but I really like this game. The gameplay's great. Visually, it's incredible. Free upgrade to PS5 as well. And I played a little bit of the PS5 version, 60 frames, or you can do 4K. It looks amazing. Game is awesome. Music is incredible. Just really liked it a lot. One of the best of the generation for sure. And probably most anticipated game right now is the sequel to that. Gonna keep talking Final Fantasy. We got Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age. I've tried several times with Final Fantasy 12 and I just don't like it. I just don't like how it plays. I don't know. I tried it on PS2. Didn't stick with it. I tried it here. Didn't stick with it. I just don't like how it plays. Which is... okay. Not every Final Fantasy has to be for me. This is kind of maybe my weird one here. Why I like Final Fantasy 15 a ton. This is one of my favorite Final Fantasies. And it's definitely a game with some problems. It's definitely a game that suffered from its eternal development time. And it's definitely a game that kind of closes itself off in the third act. And kind of is just like, we got to finish the story, guys. I'm sorry. But for what it is, I really liked it. I thought the gameplay and the loop of the gameplay and like the combat's really fun. I like the characters and I like the world. I think the world is interesting. So it kind of is different from your typical open world approach where it is kind of empty, but it's more about like, okay, you're in the car, you're chilling, you get to learn more about the characters, you kind of get to learn more about the world. And then when you get to a town, the towns are really cool. I like this game a lot. I just turned 5 years old recently, which was crazy. I can't believe it's already that old. But I think this game's awesome. And if you haven't played Final Fantasy 15, highly recommended. They've actually kind of changed like the story with updates, which kind of is annoying to me. So it's like if I wanted to go back and play this game again, I wouldn't get the same experience. So that's kind of wild. But if you have a PS5, this is actually free on the PlayStation Plus collection, and I would highly recommend it. And I'll try to point out games that are on that PlayStation Plus collection as well, because that's a really great. There's I think 20 games on there when you get your PS5 and have PlayStation Plus collection that you can just claim, and that's a really great thing. Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. Wasn't crazy about this one either. This was a PSP game that never came out until the PS4, and it came out on Xbox One as well. And I don't know, I didn't really care for this one. Kind of booted it up, messed around with it. I'm like, yeah, not for me. Another one that's been on the backlog for a long time. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. So this was actually developed by Ryo ga Gotoku Studio, who makes the Yakuza games. And they got the license for a Fist of the North Star game. And I think that's kind of a perfect fit from what I know of Fist of the North Star. I'm not going to pretend like I'm like some super fan, but it feels like a perfect fit. And from what I've heard, this game is pretty cool and pretty fun. And one of the better licensed anime games. And I don't know, I think I'm going to will it into existence, guys. Give Ryo ga Gotoku a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game. That's all I want to say. Just sit on that one. And I realize I'm about a fifth of the way through my collection, I think. I'm already at 20 minutes. God help me. Okay. Ghost of Tsushima, one of the most visually impressive games of all time. It's a rare game where the gameplay actually looks better than the cutscenes. I think this one's great. And I got to go back to this one. I didn't finish it because I played like half of it. And I'm like, I got to just wait for this one and play it on PS5. Because I never upgraded from PS4 to PS4 Pro. I always had the base model. And then I upgraded to PS5. And now this game's on, PS5 natively. I actually got the upgrade. It's $10 to upgrade it, which is kind of lame. But I got the upgrade, messed around with it. I'm like, man, this game looks so good. Great game. One of my favorite open world games of this generation. People aren't going to like me comparing it to Breath of the Wild, which I also think is a great game. But I feel like it, in a lot of ways, it doesn't quite have the exploration of that game and a lot of like the interesting stuff about that game. But in a lot of ways, it's kind of Breath of the Wild like, except it doesn't have a lot of the annoying parts either. But I think they're both great games, and they're both different enough that I recommend playing both of them anyway. But awesome game, probably one of my favorites of the generation as well. God of War. This one's on my pile of shame. I've yet to finish this one. I started it up, and it was a time when I was like moving, so I just couldn't get really into it. And another game came out that I would have rather played at the time. And I was also going on a vacation to Japan, so it was like one thing after another, one thing after another. So it's like, all right. I'll just have to wait for now. But this is definitely high on the backlog. I'd like to finish this one before the sequel. Another game that has a sequel coming up. I don't think I'm going to actually try to finish this one before the sequel, though. Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't think I like this game. So when this first was announced, I was like, oh man, this game looks really cool. I think it has a lot of potential to be really awesome. And then I got it kind of on sale or whatever, and played a little bit of it. I'm like, I don't really like this, so I traded it off. And then I got the Zero Dawn Complete Edition from GameStop, like brand new for $5. I'm like, I'll try it again. This has all the DLC, so I might as well. And I think I've started this game up 3 times and tried to play it, and I just don't really care for it. I think the story's kind of boring. I think the characters are kind of boring. I think the gameplay is just better done in other games. I think it's better in Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's better in like Breath of the Wild. Just not really my thing. Not a bad game by any means. I don't want to say that, but maybe I just don't care about the story. And maybe I'll jump into the PS5 game if it looks cool. I think the PS5 game looks great, but I don't know. This game just didn't really do it for me. Judgment, awesome game. So this is from Ryo ga Gotoku Studio. I always have to slow down. That one's a bit of a tongue twister. And it is a Yakuza-like, but it takes place in the same universe and the same map and everything. But it is more of a detective type game and a crime thriller. I guess they're all crime thrillers, really. But and you play the detective, and it's great. The story's really good. This is where I really felt like, man, Ryo ga Gotoku Studio really is becoming like a juggernaut as far as storytelling goes. And And then they did Like a Dragon, which I think the story was great in. They did Lost Judgment, which was the sequel. I had that on PlayStation 5. And I think this game story is also great. So I really feel like they're becoming, and the Yakuza stories were always good, but I feel like this game started like another level for me where I was like, man, this is good stuff. But if you like Yakuza and haven't played this one, especially, I like to say, especially if you don't like that they turn turn-based with Like a Dragon, which I do, I love that. These are still brawler type games, so you kind of have the best. I have the best of both worlds. Where I still have the old brawler games with the Judgment series, which they're doing like every other year, and then they also have Like a Dragon, which is the turn based. So they're kind of doing those. This came out in 19, and they did Like a Dragon's 20. Lost Judgment was 21. It looks like Yakuza 8 will be 2022. So they are definitely kind of going on a cycle with these, and I think it's a good idea. Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5. You can get the Kingdom Hearts complete story now with like all the 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, and 3. And you can get it for like $20, $25, which is a great deal. I don't really like the first Kingdom Hearts game. I think it isn't great. I don't think it's aged very well. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is good. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts diehard by any means. I've played them. I think they're fun for what they are. I think they're fun action RPGs, but I don't really care about the story. I mean, it's overplayed to say that the Kingdom Hearts story is stupid, but I just can't find myself caring. I know a lot of people like it, which is like good for you. This is 2.8. I got this for really cheap. I never played it. It has the 2.8 final chapter prologue, and then it has the 3DS game, Dreamed Out Distance in HD, as well as like a movie version of the mobile game. Weird series. Then I have Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. I liked Kingdom Hearts 3. I know a lot of fans were disappointed. I don't think you could not be disappointed when you waited so long between Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. And I know there was all the not the mini games, the other games that are important to the lore, apparently, even though Sora just forgets everything that happened in those games. And yeah, I know that, those games happened, but really between the big releases, it was such a long time, I think 2005 for Kingdom Hearts 2. So I don't know how you couldn't be disappointed, even if the game was great. And I think this is a good game. I think it's fun. I finished it. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's good, but I don't think it's like, incredible. But, if I finish the game, it's at least a good game. I'm not going to mess around with something that's horrible. I'm not going to finish something that's completely crap. Knack. Gotta love Knack, man. Game of the generation, game of the year, universe. Love Knack. Gotta love Knack. The only thing better than Knack, of course, Knack 2. I am the number 2 co-op speedrunner for Knack 2. Check out the beloved channel Sky85 with the Joker profile picture. He and I did a co-op speedrun of Knack 2. Played it all in one sitting. 5 hours long. Painful experience. But where we were pretty much just sitting there going, ice is nice, ice is nice. By like the third hour, we had just rotted our brains and we're just saying ice is nice a bunch, which is Knack's catchphrase. Last of Us Remastered. I didn't play Last of Us until this game. It was another game that kind of just passed me up. I had PS3 at the time. I was really into PS3, but it was just another game I didn't play. I kind of wrote it off as like, oh, it's just a zombie game. Even though I really liked Uncharted. I like Naughty Dog, but this game's great. I think it's really good. For a while, I was kind of trying to be the edgy contrarian and be like, oh, it's overrated, whatever. But I replayed it at the end of 2019, kind of gearing up for Last of Us Part 2. And I found I really liked it. I found it's just a really quality game. And gonna get some people mad here. Got Last of Us Part 2 coming up. And this is a contentious game. And I like it. It has some problems. I think the pacing and the way it told the story like non-linearly isn't great. I think they should have switched off the characters because I don't want to spoil it. I think people know that you play as two characters in this game. And I think you get to a point where some things you do as the first character you play as kind of almost reset when you go back to the beginning. You play over 3 days as both characters. And everything kind of resets, but it's like, oh, I already know what's going to happen then in the second character story. I feel like it should have been like day 1, first character, day 1, second character, day 2, first character, day 2, second character. But this game's really it's really impressive. That I think it's too long. It took me like 28 hours to finish, which I think is way too long for a game like this. But it's really impressive. The especially like some of the stealth and combat sections are like really dynamic. They're really cool. It's just really good. The environment, I mean, there's nothing that beats the environmental design in this game. There's not a game that is yet to beat the environmental design. And the game is so big. Um, it's like, it's really impressive. Uh, as far as like graphics and as just fidelity and as just craftsmanship in video games, this is high up there. And I think it's a good game. I think the story has some issues, but is overall interesting and really good. And it's bold. I mean, they definitely took some risks. I think this is a good game. And I know people are going to probably hate me in the comments. Save it for someone who cares. I'm not going to read or respond to your comment calling me a cuck or something for liking this game. Let's kind of make this easy for me. Clear up some time. I like Lego games. I like to play them with a podcast on and grind for the platinum. I find it enjoyable. So here are the Lego games I have for PlayStation 4. I have the platinums in all of these. Yeah, I think they're fun. I like Lego games. They're fun. I mean, I don't play all the Lego games. I only really play the ones that I care about. They did like The Incredibles and the movies and stuff. I don't really care about that. But it's been a while. I mean, we haven't got a Lego game since 2018. Or maybe there was a Ninjago movie or something game. I don't remember. I haven't played one since 2018. But they have that Star Wars one that's been developed forever. Looks like it's going to be a big step for the series. Should be a good time. Life is Strange. So this was a game I originally wasn't huge on. When I first jumped into it, I kind of thought it was pretentious. I kind of thought it was like the writing was annoying. But I stuck with it and I was like, man, this game is good. This game, the writing is kind of cringe. It's developed, Don't Nod is a French studio. And it definitely tells that it is some, 30, 40-year-old Frenchman trying to write for Pacific Northwest teenage characters. And in that way, it's like kind of annoying, kind of cringy. But the story of this game's good. It's a lot darker than I think a lot of people talk about. The game gets pretty dark, but it's a very good game, and I think it's worth playing. I think it's worth checking out. I think if you go into it trying to be cynical, which is easy to do, you will end up being kind of, you'll just, if you go into it being cynical, you're going to hate it. And I kind of did that at first, but once I kind of gave myself some room for it, I was like, yeah, this is a good game. This is a good story. I get what they're going for here. Life is Strange Before the Storm. So this is like a prequel game to the original Life is Strange, developed by Deck 9, who actually went on then to take over the Life is Strange series, and they did the True Colors game. And this game is much better than it has any credit, any right to be. So this was during the time in the game industry where the voice actors were on strike for the SAG-AFTRA strike. So none of the original voice actors returned. So I mean that's already like everyone liked those original voice cast. It's also kind of, it was written around to like my least favorite character in that first game, but they actually make that character really likable. So good game. It's shorter. It's only 3 chapters instead of 5. I think was the original game, maybe 6. But definitely worthwhile, and I would definitely recommend playing it if you liked the first game. It's probably not gonna make any sense if you didn't like the first game or didn't play the first game. Life is Strange too. So this one's funny. I got this one for like $10 or something. I have yet to play it, which is weird because currently I got Life is Strange True Colors for PS5 at Black Friday, and I've been playing that and enjoying it. But this game, I don't know, something about it just didn't interest me. I played this, what was that, Captain Spirit, that free kind of demo introductory thing, and I just thought it was like a 2-hour bummer. It was like depressing, and a lot of people who really liked the first game didn't really care too much for this game. And I have a theory that Don't Nod is a one-hit wonder. And I think Life is Strange was their one-hit wonder, the original game. They did that game Remember Me, which ironically no one remembers. They did that game... they did this game, which I don't think too many people were huge into. And if you like this game, leave it in the comments below. Let me know. They did... What was that? They did that game last year, Twin Mirror, that people said was horrible. They did Tell Me Why, which I never heard anyone talk about Tell Me Why. I have no idea if that game's good or not. I never heard. That was the game they did with Microsoft. I had no idea if anyone liked that game. I've never heard anything of it. If I get an Xbox Series X, maybe I'll play that one. But I don't know. I feel like they're a one-hit wonder in a sense, and I don't want that to be the case. But I feel like Life is Strange Before the Storm's really good, and that wasn't them. And True Colors is really good, and that wasn't them either. So it's like I don't know. Maybe I'll get to Life is Strange 2 one day. If you like this game and you like the first game, let me know. But I don't know. I just was like, I don't need it for the True Colors story. I want to play the True Colors game. I'm going to do it. Moving on then. We got Marvel's Avengers. This was just kind of wasted opportunity. I'm glad they redeemed themselves. Square Enix has redeemed themselves. Eidos Montreal did the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which if you watched my PS5 collection video, which I recommend you checking out, I really liked that game. This game, I think, could have been cool if it was just a single-player game. And it's not. It has to have these weird games as a service elements. I liken this game to like bad Destiny. And it's a shame because I started the story on this game. It starts out pretty much like your typical third-person action-adventure game. I'm like, oh, this is cool. The story mode is cool. And then it's like, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, go now. Part of the story, you got to do these crappy raids where you go to this empty field pretty much and beat up a bunch of nerds. And it's like, it's such a shame because this game could have been awesome. I like Crystal Dynamics a lot. I think they're really talented. And it's just, I don't get why you get a studio that doesn't make online games. They don't make games as a service games. And you tell them, you're going to make a games as a service game. It's the same thing with BioWare when they made Anthem. It's like, this is an RPG studio. Why are you making them make this Destiny game? It's everyone wanted their own Destiny. But none of these studios are equipped to be Destiny. None of these studios are Bungie. Kind of the king of the online shooter. So, kind of a shame. If you get this game for cheap, maybe, if you like the Avengers. And I know there's a community for this game. It's small. The game's not doing well by any means. But I know there's a community for this game. I know that people like it. But it's just like, oh well. I mean, they really hated on that game. It was in development for a long time. I think they lost like $80 million on it. It's just a shame, It's just, and then you look at something like Spider-Man. I just mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy on PS5, which is also on PS4. But you look at something like Spider-Man, and this game sold a ton. This game sold a ton of copies. It sold like 20 million copies. This game is beloved. One of my favorite games of the generation. Just an absolute blast. Great single-player, open-world game. It makes sense for the character. The story's good. Insomniac, I really feel is the best Western developer working right now. I mean, they got bought by Sony for what was it, 230 million or something like that, which is a steal. I mean, Gearbox got bought for $1 billion, and I feel like they're not even close to as good of a studio. And I mean, since 2018, they put out this game. PS5 has had Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank, and it's getting Spider-Man 2, and it's getting Wolverine. It's like, man, they are cranking them out, and the games are good. The games are great. I like this game a lot. The web swinging in this game feels amazing. The open world is so well detailed for something that's like you're going to swing over it most of the time. But if you're on the road, it doesn't look cheap. If you're on the street, it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look empty. It's really well done. This game's amazing. No pun intended here. And Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, so it's like just another thing of like, man, just knocked it out of the park. Good job. This is a game that I needed I needed $10 for free shipping, and shipping was going to end up being like $6, so I was like, I might as well just get a game and get the free shipping. So I got Medieval. I've heard good things about this remake. I've yet to play it. This is one I'm thinking about getting into streaming more. So this might be a game that I stream like around Halloween time or something. The original Medieval game is fun. I really like the premise. I think the premise is funny. And I've heard great things about this remake, so I'd like to play it. But kind of a weird thing to remake. I wonder how well it did. I wonder if they have any plans for the second game. Because you got to remember, they already remade it for the PSP. I think it was called Medieval Resurrected or something. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. So when I played this was a mess. This was like the peak of F Konami type stuff, if anyone remembers that. This was my phone camera is recognizing Snake's face here on the thing and is trying to zoom in on it. No. They broke up, like, this is like a introductory stage to Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid 5. and they broke this up and tried to sell it for I think $30, which is like ugh. And I didn't actually really like this Ground Zeroes either way. It's just kind of a sandbox, and I didn't really like it. I was like, this is just a waste of time. I don't know why they did this, but Metal Gear Solid 5 is a weird one for me. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan of the original trilogy, at least. I don't really like Metal Gear Solid 4. I feel like it's became like a parody of Metal Gear at that point. The cutscenes are way too long, and it's just getting way too ridiculous. Metal Gear 5 is like the polar opposite, where it's like really gameplay heavy. It's mission based, which is weird for Metal Gear. But this is a really impressive. Again, one of the best open world games of this generation. I didn't finish it because I was like, you know what? I've played enough of this. Played it like 20 hours. I played enough of this. I don't care about the story. There is no story in this game. But I'd like to go back to Metal Gear Solid 5 and actually give it an honest chance and play it all the way through. But this is an insanely impressive game, especially for 2015. They really knocked it out of the park. And it's such a shame that the Kojima Konami thing had to go down. Because Konami is just a husk now. They're just a complete waste. And it's such a shame because they have such great franchises. But what can you do? This is another game I'd like to stream at some point. Metal Wolf Chaos 8 XD. This is a From Software game that was exclusive to the original Xbox in Japan. So we already know that that's going to just a recipe for disaster. But they finally localized it. I think it was already in English, like, anyway, when the game came out there. But they finally localized it, and I think it was exclusive to GameStop. No, it wasn't, because I got this from Best Buy for like $5. And if you've ever, there's a Donkey video where he did of this, and it's just a wacky, crazy, insane game. This was one I'd like to stream at some point as well. This is a game I think a lot of people kind of forgot about. Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. So this was a big deal, like at the beginning of the generation. And I don't really care about Lord of the Rings. I've seen the movies. They're good, but it's just not really my thing. I don't really like high fantasy like that. And this game got great reviews. People were really talking about it. There's a lot of buzz around this game in 2014, and I think it was just there was nothing else come out in 2014. So I picked it up, and I think it's good. I didn't finish it or anything. What I played of it though, I thought was really good. I thought that Nemesis system they did was really cool, and it's kind of a shame they never did anything with it again. I guess they did it in the sequel to this game, but I don't know of anyone who played the sequel to this game. I don't know, but I bet Lord of the Rings fans did. But of people I look into, I didn't really hear anything about the sequel. Monster Hunter World. I've tried to get into Monster Hunter. It's enjoyable, but it's just not something I want to put a ton of time into. You have to put a ton of time into Monster Hunter. The most I've played of Monster Hunter was Generations on the 3DS and Rise, and I played this one a decent amount of time, but I don't know. It's just not something I'm not really into that grind for materials and grind for everything. But this is a good game. Was really successful. Big hit for Capcom. It's their best-selling game now. So good for them. I got Nier Replicant here. This one came out this year. This game is really good. I really like this game, and I didn't finish it, and I want to just go back in because I was close to the end. I need to just go back in and dedicate some time to finishing it. But this game's awesome. I really, really like this game. I didn't play it originally on the PS3 or 360. So this is kind of a half remake of the original game, and it plays more like Nier Automata. The original game, from my understanding, is a little bit janky, but everything else is still there. But in the original game, you play as like a father character, and in this game, you play as a brother character. So there's actually two versions of this game. There's Nier Gestalt, which came out in Japan. And that was the father version, and there was Nier Replicant, which is the brother version. We got the father version. I guess they were, thinking that we would like the dude bro, gruff dad more than the kind of wimpy brother. But we finally got this version, and I think this game's awesome. I really, really like this game. I really like the characters. I really like the world. I really like the story. I really just got to go in and finish it. And this might be controversial, and this is kind of bizarre, because Nier Replicant was developed by Toy Logic, which is kind of a support studio. And Nier Automata was developed by Platinum Games, and I think I like Nier Replicant better, and I think it's just because I like the story better. But Nier Automata is still awesome. This game is still a great game. And this was one that I actually had on my backlog for the longest time. And in January of 2021, I actually went through and finished it. And great game. I wish I hadn't taken so long to finish it, but I really liked it. And both of these games have some of the most incredible music as well. Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. I got this on clearance, as you can see, for $9.98, still sealed. Heard good things about this one. It kind of went under the radar compared to the original game, which was a big deal at the time. I guess because this game didn't have the Studio Ghibli involvement, kind of made it a little bit less enticing to some people, but heard some good things about this one. One I'd like to get to eventually. I like Level 5 a lot. I'm kind of sad that they are not doing so hot right now. They just put out a new game and it like sold like no units. They were working like forever on a soccer game that's still not out. They bought Concept, which was Inafune's company that did Mighty Number 9, which I don't know why you would do that. A lot of weird decisions they made. They tried to really put all their eggs in one basket on Yokai Watch, turn it into a multimedia thing, and then people in Japan lost interest and it never caught on over here. So a lot of things with Level 5. Hopefully, I think they'll probably get bought out by like Tencent or something, which is unfortunate. But I really like them. I'm really rooting for them. This just came out to Switch too, but it's unfortunate because I think it was $60 on Switch, and you can see right there I got it for $9.99. So it's like, it is what it is, I suppose. But Okami HD. Okami is a game I really need. It's been on the backlog forever, since the Wii days. It's just a game I need to get into. I've started it a few times, but then I kind of got distracted. It's a game I know I'd like, but it's a game I think I need to be in the mood for. I need kind of a Zelda-like mood. But from everything I played, I liked it. It's just I didn't get too far into it. But what can you do? Moving on here. So I got Persona 5. This game is on the PlayStation 5, what is it called? PlayStation Plus collection for free. However, I'm not going to talk about the original game. The original game is still great. It's still awesome. But I think Persona 5 Royal is my favorite game of this generation. This game is so incredible. It's so immaculate for what it is. And I'm a big Persona fan. I didn't jump on until Persona 4 Golden, so you can call me fake fan or whatever. I didn't become a fan until 2014. But I'm a big fan of the series, and it's such a shame that this fan base is just a disaster now. I don't even want anything to do with it. But they try to pretend like all the games are... I'm like, why are you guys fans of these games when you act like they're all bad? It's like, you guys suck. The Twitter fan base for Persona is maybe the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. But this game is so impressive to me. It's such a massive game with like every inch of it is good. There's not a wasted hour within this game. It's like watching the original game took me about 80 hours to finish. This game took me 110 hours to finish. So it's a massive game. It's like watching a long anime, but it's good. There's not a wasted, I really feel like there's not a wasted moment. I feel like the dungeons are all good. There's one that I don't really care for, but the rest of them are good. The art style is so cool and the music is so so fun. It's so good. This game is definitely a top 3 all time for me. In Royal, I recommend it because there's just added content to the game. So there's a whole bonus chapter kind of towards the end that I really thought it was going to be kind of tacked on and it's going to be, this will be fine or whatever. But they add stuff in throughout Persona 5 to really make that added content worthwhile, and it's a whole extra saga in the game essentially that really is fascinating. It's some of the best writing I think of this generation as well. It's so good. This game is great. I can't talk it up enough. This is my favorite JRPG of all time, and JRPGs is my favorite genre, so definitely talking this one up. Definitely recommend it. If you've not played Persona 5 Royal, even if you don't like JRPGs, I recommend it because I think you'll like it. Even if you don't like I know a lot of people say they don't like turn-based combat, and I really say that people who say they don't like turn-based combat have not found a turn-based game that is good to them. Kind of botched that, but whatever. No one's watching to this point. No, I have never been... there was a point where I was never huge on turn-based combat, but there's just some games that's like, they do it right. There's some games that have the most boring turn-based combat where I turn it on and I'm like, no, I'm not going through a whole game like this. But this game and a lot of other games have great turn-based combat. So I would say don't write it off altogether. And I really feel like this game is fast enough with the turn-based combat and flashy enough and engaging enough that you'll like it, even if you don't really like it, turn-based combat in general. But Can't keep talking this game up enough. I'll talk it up for a long, long time. But moving on here. Another good one. Persona 5 Strikers. This was definitely a surprise for me. I feel like Atlas has really surprised me. Because I kind of go into this stuff completely blind. I don't want to know too much about it before release. So, yeah, with Persona 5 Royal, I didn't really know. I knew there was new content, but I didn't know how integral it would be to the main game and how well added it would be. Where the original game just feels like I have to actually remind myself, like, no, that stuff wasn't in there. It's just so natural that that stuff was put in there that it's kind of shocking when it's not in there in the original game. But Strikers, like, I didn't really know much about it. It was like, oh, this is a Persona game developed by Omega Force, so it's. I was thinking, oh, this is just going to be a Musou Persona game. This is a game. It has a full story. It's like 50 hours, full length RPG, and it doesn't play like a Musou that much. It plays like an action RPG. So takes place after Persona 5. It is essentially a full sequel to Persona 5 that plays like an action RPG, almost like kind of similar to like Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it's like, wow, they really knocked it out of the park with this one. It feels right. It looks right. The music feels genuinely like a sequel to Persona 5. And if you like Persona 5 and somehow pass this one up, what they did with this game is really cool. The new characters they added, really cool. Definitely important if to play if you really like the series. But I think it's great. I think it's just really. I've been saying great a lot. I should use better adjectives. People get mad when I use the same adjective over and over again, like they're my college English professor. I get out of here. The game's great. It's excellent. It's superb. I don't want to know what to tell you. Ratchet and Clank. This is a fun one. This is a remake of the PS2 game. They based it around the movie that came out that I don't think anyone saw or anyone remembers. It's really funny to think that this game sold really well for PlayStation. The movie bombed. So it was like most people who played the game didn't watch the movie, myself included. But this is a good remake. This is on the PlayStation Plus collection. It's pretty fun. Pretty good time. Ratchet and Clank are always fun. Fun characters. Fun world. Pretty satisfying gameplay. And you can get that game for really cheap even if you don't have PlayStation 5. This is one of my top 5 of the generation for sure. Resident Evil 2 Remake. This game's immaculate. This game is so good. This game is so good. I just can't believe how great this was. And I think Resident Evil's in a great place because they have the remake series, which can do that over the shoulder. They have the over the shoulder gameplay, which like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, controls better than those, obviously. And I think Resident Evil 2 Remake's a better game than Resident Evil 4, which is a contentious thing to say. And I have some other Resident Evil hot takes we'll get into. But then they can do the first person with the mainline series with 7 and 8, which they did, and probably 9. And then they can bring back like the Revelation series. It seems like there's something planned for the Switch to be exclusive for that action gameplay. So they're in a good place where they kind of have all 3 of them. It's become a yearly series, but it doesn't feel tired because it's just they're well done. It's been yearly since 2019 when this came out. And I don't know, I just think this game is so good. If you haven't played it, it's cheap and it's so impressive. Just everything they did with this game, just the design is so good. It's just one of the best design games of all time. It's awesome. Highly recommend it. Next up, a game that's good. Not as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake. It seemed like they rushed this one a little bit. This one came out only a year later after Resident Evil. This came out in 2020. This came out... So Resident Evil 2 came out January of 2019. This one came out April of 2020. So a little over a year later. They were obviously working on them both at the same time. They share some assets, so it makes sense. I didn't play the original Resident Evil 3. I know that there's missing content from Resident Evil 3, like Clock Tower and like the park and stuff like that. I know that was disappointing to some people. To me, I was a little bit disappointed that the Nemesis, he was not as dynamic as Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. The Nemesis encounters are like all scripted. So he's not, like Resident Evil 2, Mr. X, he's like this constant presence that'll sneak up on you, that will be walking around the police station trying to get you. Nemesis is like more, and you never feel, Resident Evil 2 is a scary game. I think it's a great horror game. This is a great action game, I think. I never was once scared during Resident Evil 3. I had a great time playing through it. I had a blast going through this game. I thought it was really fun, but it is not as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake by any means, but still good. Still a good game. I feel like Resident Evil 2 is a solid, 9 out of 10. Resident Evil 3, solid 8 out of 10. So this is a game here. This one might be contentious. This is another one I just cleared off my backlog. I had on the backlog forever, and I just cleared it off in January. I went through and cleared a ton of stuff off my backlog, like January 2021. And this is another one I cleared off. Guys, I think this might be the best Resident Evil game. And I know people aren't going to like this. I really think Resident Evil 7... No, I'm not going to say it's the best. I think Resident Evil 2 Remake's the best. But I think this is the second best Resident Evil game. And then Resident Evil 4. This game is awesome. This game is so good. This game is genuinely scary. And I think Resident Evil 8... I like that game a ton. And probably my favorite game of 2021. But it's not scary except for a few portions. This game is consistently scary until then there's like some... It always ends up like action at the end, which makes sense. You're powerless the whole game. You want to get to the end of the game and you're finally have the guns and you're finally, an action hero type thing. But this game's consistently scary throughout. The opening hour of this game is like, wow, they really start off well and they keep up that momentum. This game's so good. This is like such a breath of fresh air for Resident Evil after like 5. I like 5. I never played 6, but 6 just is ugh. And there was like Raccoon City and stuff like that. It was like, man, they were really falling off the clock there. That's not an expression. I don't know. No one's watching this far. They were really, falling off the... who cares? Resident Evil 7, good game. Never played Resident Evil Revelations 2. Got it for cheap and just have yet to get to it. I like Revelations 1 on the 3DS for what it's worth, though. I think that game's really cool. Another game, I wanted to pick up the Science Adventure series games before they kind of got expensive to grab. So I got Robotics Note. This has both Elite and Dash, both Robotics Notes games. So I'm going to get into these eventually. Rockman 4. So we all know that, Rock Band was huge. We all know the story. People got tired of Guitar Hero. Essentially, Guitar Hero screwed it for everyone because Guitar Hero released like 10 games a year. No joke. That's not a joke. Look at their lineup for 2009. They released so many games that it kind of got everyone tired out on the rhythm, plastic instrument genre. But I was huge into rock. I mean, there was a period where I played nothing but Rock Band and Guitar Hero. Probably from the end of 2008 to the end of 2010. There was like 2 years where I played like nothing but these games. And I still really like them. My skills are still pretty good. I'm still pretty good at the games. I'm not even going to try to be modest. I'm still pretty good at these games. But Rock Band 4 kind of bombed. And I got this game from Best Buy. They were like clearing it out for something like $40 with the guitar. And there's still a community for this game. I was really surprised recently to find out that Harmonix, who was just recently bought by Epic actually, they still support this game. They still release DLC packs every week. Which I'm thinking, like, how is that? What are the logistics on that? The DLC songs are $2 each. How much goes to licensing on this? How many people are buying these to support the studio that's in Boston? Very weird, very strange, but they're still supporting it. They're still going strong, and I commend them for it. Really cool. But I had a good time with Rock Band 4. The on-disc set list is pretty lame. You can definitely tell they did not have much budget for getting good songs, so it's pretty lame. They also kind of wasted their budget on songs that no one wants to play on guitar. Like, they had, like, Uptown Funk on there and stuff, which I couldn't imagine in 2015 would have been cheap to license. So it's like, ugh, why waste that? You could have got some better songs on here. But, I went on here, all the old songs, save for a few that got caught up in licensing problems, all the old songs from the PS3 and 360 and, well, Wii when they were selling them up for $2 each. Those are all still there for the most part. So I went on and spent maybe $30, bought like 15 songs. And I was like, hey, yeah, this is fun. I like going back to Rock Band. And every once in a while I'll still boot it up and play it for a little while. But just guitar for me. I don't really need the drums or anything anymore. I feel like those days are done for me. But yeah, talked way too long about Rock Band 4. It's kind of a pricey game now, actually. Especially the instruments. The instruments are like insanely pricey. But another one on the backlog that I liked, but I just didn't play too much of. Sakura Wars. This is like the Sakura Wars kind of reboot. We only ever got Sakura Wars So Long My Love for the Wii over here, and then we got this game in 2020. And I've heard good things about this one. Listen to the theme music. It goes pretty hard. And I played like an hour of it. I liked what I played, but it was just a time where it was like, a lot of stuff was coming out. I got kind of distracted from it, but good game from what I could tell, and I've heard good things. Heard people really like it. Bet everyone forgot about this one. Secret of Mana. They did like a really kind of cheap remake of the Mana games. Started with Adventures of Mana, which is Final Fantasy Legend or whatever, and they remade that. And then they remade Secret of Mana, and it's just really cheap. I never played this. I think I got it for like $15 from GameStop just because I thought it'll probably be expensive one day, and that box art is still classic, but you're better off just getting the Mana collection on the Switch and playing them that way. And they did actually a remake of the third Mana game, Second Setsu 3, that never came out until the Mana collection. They actually did a remake of that too, and it, once again, seemed pretty cheap. It's just a shame that they don't want to put more into that. I feel like just don't do it all, do it at all, but I think they sold pretty well, so there's an audience for it, and I think they'll probably do a new game. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I really liked this Tomb Raider reboot series, although I didn't play much of this one. This one was done by Eidos Montreal because Crystal Dynamics was working primarily on the Avengers game at this point. This came out 2018. I played the original one on PS3. I really liked that game a lot. I really liked Rise of the Tomb Raider. I played that one on Xbox One because it was exclusive for a while. And I really liked that game. And then this one came out and I was like, you know what? This is more of the same. And I didn't play too much of it. And I feel like there's going to be a point where I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood for a Tomb Raider type thing. And I'm going to play this game and be like, yep. But I paid maybe 3 hours of this one. And I was like, it's more of the same. I'll get back to it eventually. This is a good pack here. Shenmue 1 and 2. I like Shenmue. I like it more as an idea. It's like the Joker, the crappy Jared Leto Joker. He's like, I'm an idea. What a reference right there, man. I like it more as an idea. I find it really impressive that a game from the Dreamcast era was like this. They could do this on the Dreamcast. And I would recommend changing the languages over to Japanese because the voices are goofy, but it's really impressive what they were able to do with that hardware, in the late 90s. It's incredible. And people make the argument that it's not a fun game, and I don't think every game necessarily needs to be fun per se, and I know people make fun of that, but I think that it's just an experience that's worth checking out. And I think a lot of games don't need to be per se fun as long as they provide an interesting experience. And that's the kind of stuff I like. And I think Shenmue does that. Especially when you think of it as just such a, ancient game that is able to be so modern and so ahead of its time in so many ways. It's really interesting, I guess, from the gaming history standpoint more than anything else. But I'll stop rambling. Shenmue 3, I got this game on a Black Friday sale before it came out. This game had yet to release and it was already half price. So that'll probably tell you everything you need to know. I pre-ordered it at half price as part of a Black Friday sale and got it day one. And I never opened it. But I heard people were not impressed. Especially Shenmue fans were not impressed. Which is a shame, You get this Kickstarter. It was so weird that they did Kickstarter on the E3 stage of, Sony's press conference. But this was a big deal. This was a huge Kickstarter. This was a really big thing for a lot of people. And it's a shame that it just didn't really pan out for a lot of people. But what can you do, I guess? This is a bit of a meme if you watch the PS4 collection video every year. I got Sleeping Dogs for like $5 from the Square Enix store a long time ago during a Black Friday sale. And I've heard great things about it. I've just yet to play it. And every year I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll play it next year. And then I never do. This has been going on for like 6 years now. Still got Sleeping Dogs. Would actually like to play it. I've heard really good things about it. But the backlog is huge. SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. You're probably thinking, why do you have a SpongeBob game? This is actually a really solid 3D platformer. I played this one as a kid growing up on GameCube. And they announced this remakes, and I was like, maybe this is a pretty solid game. I haven't played it since, I was a kid, really. So it might suck. But, a lot of people online also have fond memories of this game. And, it's only $30 for the remake, and you get it for even cheaper now. But it's a really good remake. I think it's still a good game. I went through the game last year and platinumed it and had a good time. I thought it was fun. It's just a fun 3D platformer. We don't get many 3D platformers nowadays. We got a lot more 2D platformers, really. So you kind of got to take what you get. But as far as 3D platformers go, this is a good one. This team that remastered this is making a new SpongeBob 3D platformer, which I'll be a bit more wary about since it's original and it's not taking from a game that was already good. But I'd be open to it. I like 3D platformers. We don't get very many, and we definitely don't get very many good ones. So I'll take what I can get, and if it's with SpongeBob, then I'll go with SpongeBob, I guess. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, fun games. Spyro's fun. I don't know what else to say. This video is an hour and 5 minutes long at this point. One I didn't play. I got this for cheap on Black Friday, but I've heard it's not very good, so it kind of dissuaded me from it. Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness. I heard almost no one say anything good about this game. No one played this game, and then anyone who played it didn't have anything good to say about it. So, but Star Ocean's a cool series. They're bringing it back. They're making a new game. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Star Wars Battlefront. A game I think could have been great if it wasn't from EA. If EA didn't have to EA it and make it so that there's like not much content in the game, and that you had to buy essentially a season pass that was the same price as the game to actually get any content. But the modes that they had were fun. I had a good time with it. I'm thinking, I don't play multiplayer games online very much, but I really liked the classic Star Wars Battlefront games. I remember playing them at friends' house all the time on PS2 and Xbox. But this was a bit of a disappointment just because there's no story mode, which I guess maybe we should be grateful for after the second game. But there's no story mode. There's no, a lot of content is missing and a lot of just crap, which is a shame. But still a good game. Really impressive looking game as well. And you gotta remember, that's like one of the best selling games on PS4, which is pretty crazy. Star Wars Battlefront 2, this game had a whole debacle when it came out. My friend got a PS4. I wasn't going to get this game, but my friend got a PS4. It came with the game, and he didn't really want it, so I just offered him $10 for it, and I took it. And what I played of this game, I heard that I didn't play the story mode because everything I saw and heard of it looked horrible, so I just passed on that one. But I played some online on this game. I spent like an afternoon with it, nothing too extensive, and I was like, that was a good time. I played it well after all the microtransaction stuff was like said and done with. I played it well after that, so it was kind of a better experience. And this game still has a pretty decent community playing it too, so that's good. I thought it was a good game. If you can get this one for cheap, and you like Star Wars and you like kind of the gameplay, it's a good game. I mean, it's like Battlefield with Star Wars essentially. This one might be a little contentious. Jedi Fallen Order. I played this game for like 2 hours. I just didn't like it. It was glitchy. Like I kept falling through the floor. And I just thought the gameplay was kind of boring. It's the one I'd like to give another shot. I know they did a PS5 upgrade. So it's one I'd like to give a shot eventually. But my first impression with this one was not very good. I'll just say that much. And first impressions are kind of everything when it comes to a game. Because, you see my backlog. If something's not, throwing me off the bat, then it's like, well, on to another one. There's 20 million games coming out each month. And I already have a bunch of games to play, but I'm not going to stick around with something that's not impressing me. Steins Gate Zero. So like I said, I got into Steins Gate pretty hardcore last year. I played the original visual novel on PS3, and I thought it was great. That was another game I finally dumped off the backlog. And I played this one earlier this year. I don't think it's quite as good as the original, but this is an interesting take, kind of an alternate reality, which without spoiling the original game, which I highly recommend. What would happen if the ending of that game was different? And this is kind of an alternate reality that has some really interesting plot points, some really interesting character moments, but it's not canon or anything. But for what it is, good game. Would recommend it if you liked the first game. It's like more of the first game, which I can't decline. Okay, games keep falling over. Got to stop that. Steins Gate Elite. I want to play through Steins Gate again, and so I played through the original visual novel. I kind of looked online to see which version to play. Fans recommended playing the original visual novel first, and then Steins Gate Elite is the game, but kind of remade with the anime cutscenes, which sounds like it could be kind of crappy, but from what I've heard is pretty good. But people just said, if you like the original visual novel enough, you'll want to probably play it again. Play it again with Elite then afterwards. So I probably will do that at some point. This has a game called, this came with a game called Linear Bonded Phenagram. which is kind of a compilation of short stories from different visual novel writers and anime writers taking place in the Steins Gate universe. I find that really interesting. So I kind of just picked this up on clearance at Best Buy because I wanted to get that code for that game before it expired. And then I figured I'd play Steins Gate Elite eventually. But it's kind of calling out to me. Maybe soon. But highly recommend Steins Gate. Highly, highly recommend that original game. An all-time great. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. Another game I got for cheap. I liked Tales of Vesperia, what I played on the 360. And one of the better Tales games for sure. Would like to get back to play the Definitive Edition eventually. Tales game I didn't like. Tales of Zestiria. I don't really have anything. I'm not even going to open the case. I don't have anything to say about it. I just didn't like it. Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. I really like the Uncharted series. And this is a great version to play. I'm really happy that they just put these games on PS4. Because we're not getting backwards compatibility with PS3. I understand that. So it's like, yeah, now it's on PlayStation 4. You can play it on PlayStation 5. These games are here. We have them. I wish they would do that for all their series, really. I don't know why they don't do it for Resistance or Infamous or stuff like that. Just get this stuff on PS4. And I bought that porting studio Nix's, and I kind of wonder if that's kind of part of what they're going to do with them. But like these games, my controversial opinion is I think Drake's Deception is the best one on Uncharted 3. Of the trilogy, I think 4 is the best one overall. But I like these games quite a bit. Definitely classics. I feel like the first one's kind of getting a little aged weird. It's fun to see the difference between Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 4 and be like, man, this is a studio that just kept ramping up. This is a studio that just kept getting better. Really cool. But Uncharted 4 is so good. And I'm excited. It's coming to PlayStation 5 next year, looks like. I'm excited to play it PlayStation 5, 60 frames per second, 4K. This is one of the best looking games out there, even still 5 years later. And it's just a really great time. The story is really cool. It's such a change from Uncharted 1 where the story is like, oh, got to find a treasure, killed 10,000 indigenous people in the process. And Uncharted 4 is definitely more inspired by Last of Us, but it's not dark. It's still fun. It's still well written. But it's just such a cool change to see how they evolved. Another one on the pile of shame, Uncharted Lost Legacy. I played this one. I started it and didn't finish it. But that's going to come to PS5 as well in the same package as Uncharted 4. So I think I'll probably finally finish it there. Finally play it there and finally finish it there. God, this video is so long. I'm so sorry. I know no one's watching at this point. If you are still watching at this point, leave a comment down below and tell me, because I can't imagine anyone is. Until Dawn, another game that every year I'm like, yeah, I'll play this one. I have it now like a digital copy, so I probably won't even open this version, but I got this for $5 or something from Best Buy way back in the day. I'm going to try to make this shorter. I'm going to do the Yakuza Power Hour in 1 minute. Yakuza 0, really great. Great starting point. Really smart that they brought this game over finally. Kind of they started it out essentially. They kind of rebooted the series, bringing this game out, because this game in Japan came out in 2015. So they kind of rebooted the series, putting this game out on PS4 in the West in 2017, and then followed it up pretty quickly with Yakuza Kiwami, which is a remake of the first game. So we got the first two games that came out kind of right one after another. Really smart. Really great idea. They really did great with that. And then not too long after as well, we got Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is a great remake of the second game, the second PS2 game. And it is in the Dragon engine that they introduced in Yakuza 6. So it was really smart of them just to kind of get this game out as well. You have all the Yakuza games. This is something I really think is smart. That a lot of smart companies have been doing this generation. Get all the Yakuza games on PS4 and now on Xbox and PC. Let as many people play them as possible. Don't have, we're done with Kiwami 2 here. We can now play the whole story. Don't have these games stranded on PlayStation 3. I think Sega's really good at this, and Capcom's good at this too with Resident Evil games. And Resident Evil, they said these games sold a ton of copies, tens of millions of copies of these older games just because we have them on modern platforms. But yeah, don't leave these games stranded on PS3. Now we have 3, 4, and 5 remastered on PS4. And it's like you're set, you got Yakuza 0, 1, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, remastered 3, 4, 5 on PS4 and on Xbox One, and then you can play them on PS5. You can play them on Series X. People can keep coming back to the series. You can keep getting new people into the series, and I think that's great. Yakuza 6 as well, Dragon Engine game. Not everyone's favorite, but a good one. I like that one. Some good side content. My favorite Yakuza games depend a lot on the side content in the maps. We got here Yakuza Ishin. I got this one when I was in Japan. This is a currently Japanese only release. I feel like they're going to localize this one. Takes place in, feudal Japan, I believe. I don't remember if it's Kenzan or Ishin to take place in feudal Japan. But it has all the same characters, but they play different characters from that time. Really funny idea. I'd like to see them localize this so I can actually understand it. But yeah, it's so smart because it's like, yeah, now you can just play these games. You have these games in perpetuity now. You have them. You have the 100 million PS4 owners can play them. The 50 or so million Xbox One owners can play them. Then they can come to the next generation and people from the next gen can play them. And then I'm going to guess PS4 will be playable on PS6. So it's like Yakuza 10 comes out and someone's like, oh, I'm interested in this. Let me play these games. And they're there for them. They're not... I got into Yakuza right before Zero came out, actually. I wanted to kind of get familiar with the series before Zero. Getting into a tangent now. I try to make it quick, but I can't. And I was like, all right, how am I going to do this? Couldn't track down a copy of Yakuza 1 PS2 at my local game shops. Couldn't track down Yakuza 2 PS2. It was pretty expensive at the time. Finally, I saw some people say you can start with Yakuza 3. So I started with Yakuza 3. I got Yakuza 3 and Yakuza 4 on PS3 and had to track those down. But it's like, now you just grab them on PS4. They're there. They're on the store. Their physical copies are out there. It's such a smart thing to do, and it's beneficial. And I wish, Atlas would do it with Persona. I wish Sony would do it a little bit more with some of their other series. I just want these games to be here, for new people and for myself, too. It's just easier to pull out the PS4 version, play on my PS5, than have to boot up the dreadful PS3 and how slow it is now. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Awesome. Recommended. I'm not going to keep talking your ear off about Yakuza. Yakuza Like My Dragon. Like a Dragon is my favorite one in the series. Awesome game. Ukulele. I feel like this game... I kickstarted this game. I feel like this game had a lot of potential that they kind of blew it. It's not bad. It's just kind of not great. But I think Playtonic is a team to look out for. And I'm interested to see what their next game is. They're doing a sequel to the regular Ukulele. It's kind of been confirmed when they got investment from Tencent. Kind of came out in their financials. So something to look forward to. I don't really recommend the first Ukulele. I do if you want a 3D platform that's like Banjo. They nailed like everything about Banjo for the first game. They nailed the music, but they just didn't nail the world design. That's what makes those games great. And they didn't quite nail the... it's not really very polished. It's a Kickstarted game from a new studio. I didn't expect too much from there. But they nailed a lot, but they just didn't nail what makes it great. And the Banjo games are great, but Banjo-Kazooie is a game from 1998. And if you're making a game, this came out in 2017, that is similar to a game from 1998, but has not evolved at all since then you kind of have a problem. But it's just kind of directionless. It's not as well designed as those games, but I think it has potential. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair is a 2D game. This is a 2D platformer that plays a lot like the new Donkey Kong Country games, Tropical Freeze and Returns. And I recommend this game. This game's really good. This is a really good 2D platformer. And I really think Retro Studios is busy on Metroid. Nintendo ought to tap these guys for a third Donkey Kong Country game of the new series because they know how to do it. And they essentially made that third Donkey Kong Country game. And this game's great. Highly recommended. Another clearance from Target. $5.98 for Zone of the Enders Second Runner. With PlayStation VR support. I don't have PlayStation VR, but I'd like to get it one day. I played it and got sick, but I think it's just because the screen's so low resolution. But Kojima game, Zone of the Enders, good time. Got a couple games here I missed actually. Then I usually put bigger box games on the end. So this is the Persona 3 and 5 Endless Night Collection. This was originally not launched at $100, but Amazon messed up and put it at $60, and I pre-ordered it there, and I got it for $60 because they had that price match guarantee or whatever. This says Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, which are PS4 games, and then it has the Vita game Dancing All Night, Persona 4. And I like these games a lot. I think they're really fun rhythm games, and I know there's a lot to complain. You can get this Endless Night collection genuinely on the PlayStation Store regularly for like $15 now. Highly recommend it at that price, and I also recommend just picking out the $20 DLC. You got a pretty complete pack there. And these games are fun. It's fun. You kind of have to go, if you're into Platinums especially, it's fun because you got to go for that meta game. But I don't know. I just like rhythm games a lot. And I like the idea of celebrating your series and its music through a rhythm game. And you don't really see this. There was Theater Rhythm with Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest that didn't even come out over here. There was Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory as well, which came out. I haven't played that one. But I just don't get why more series don't want to celebrate their music with a rhythm game like this. It doesn't need to be serious. This is goofy and weird. But imagine like a Nier rhythm game. Or what if they got all the Smash Brothers songs, or like a collection of songs from all these series and made like a rhythm game of that? Would be awesome. I'm starting to lose my voice, but I'm at the last game here. Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. Highly recommended. I talked about this on a PS4 games that you should... PS4 and Switch games that you should check out, underrated ones. This game is so good. So this was originally a PS3 game. I played it first on PS3. And it is a strategy tactics RPG. Kind of like... People kind of compare it to XCOM, but I see it almost more as its own thing. And I can't really describe it very well. I would just recommend it. It has a really nice like art style where it looks like a kind of a painting. And the gameplay is just really fun. I really like tactics games, so maybe that's it. But if you like Fire Emblem, you'll definitely like this. You can play Valkyria Chronicles. You don't need to play any of the games. So probably the best one's Valkyria Chronicles 4, but this one's really good too. But you don't need to play any of the games really in any order. 2 and 3 were PSP games. 3 didn't even come out here, and they're different. So would recommend Valkyria Chronicles 1 and 4, and they're both on the Switch as well. And these games go dirt cheap pretty frequently. I retweet them when they do. Highly recommend these games. Highly underrated. Valkyria Chronicles is like Sega's hidden best series. A lot of people don't even care about this series, but it's so good. And that's it. An hour and 22 minutes. Good Lord, I can't believe I talked for that long. That's it. That's the end of the video. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please let me know if you made it to the end. I can't imagine. Maybe watching it in the background, which is cool, but I know people skip around, which is perfectly fine. Not everyone wants to hear me talk about every single game. But yeah, let me know if you made it to the end. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Really helps out the channel. Comment with some of your favorite PS4 games if there's any that you think I'm missing that I should pick up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Follow me on Twitter, like I said, at Object Gaming. I do like to retweet deals and stuff on games that I recommend that I think people should check out. And until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching.